Welcome back, everybody, to VGVN3. Our next series is Hyped versus Savitz. Now, a little bit of the improper ordering on the standings, but you get the general idea. Nyria is firmly in first place, guaranteed to advance, and it comes down to Savitz versus Hyped, who wins this series. Or no, it's Hyped versus Brian Kibler, excuse me. I completely misspoke, PV. Thanks for correcting me. Hyped versus Brian Kibler will be coming up next, where Hyped wants to win this. So that way he can stay competitive in the group. If he drops 0-2, then all of a sudden there's a possibility for a three-way tie, I believe, if Hyped beats Savitz, and then we have to kind of see where the standings are.
Yeah, but I believe it goes by games, and Savitz already has 5 game wins, and Kibler can only get up to 4. So unless I misremembering tiebreakers, I don't think he can advance.
Oh, that's true. And by our count, which looks like Brian Kibler's eliminated, but he can also play the spoiler, as well as win back some of the pride for a little bit of a misstep earlier in the tournament, which is quite unfortunate. Now let's go into the ban screen and see what these guys have prepared for the class selection. Seeing how Hunter was banned very commonly, but Brian Kibler seems to be taking different routes. Maybe it's not always a Hunter ban, maybe it's a Warlock ban, maybe it's a Shaman ban, maybe it's something else. It's a Miracle Rogue ban this time.
Yeah, definitely one of the most powerful decks. So, those seem to be the big 3, Hunter, Miracle Rogue, and Warlock that most people are banning, with the edge going to Hunter. Hunter has been the most banned deck here. But no one has banned decks that people are famous for. So no one's banned a Hyped's Mage deck yet. Or Kibler's Priest deck, for example. Or no, more unique things like Savitz's Paladin deck also went unbanned so far.
Well, I think before there was a very clear tier 1 deck of Hunter, people were more willing to experiment with that. For example, there was a lot of debate whether or not you banned something like Priest from Amaz, because at the time Priest was considered a very weak class. But then Amaz sank thousands of hours playing Priest, so then you take away one of his comfort classes, right? And then Amaz obviously took that information and started adapting other classes like Druid and Hunter into his repertoire. And this was before Hunter was even considered good post Naxxramas, so Amaz one of those hipster Hunters for sure. Hyped, by the way, has been well known to play Miracle Rogue, so it's not like it's a happy moment for Hyped. It's like, well, I guess I play Hunter, but he loses Miracle, the deck that he's played tens of thousands of games by now with. But it's okay. He's going to lead off the series with Mage. Mage against the Priest is kind of tricky with Priest without Shadow Word Deaths against Molten Giants. I feel like Hyped definitely has a good understanding of how to defeat this matchup, and he's got the AoE to back it up in case things get crazy with Flame Strike. I kind of want to lean towards Hyped's Mage deck, but this deck is still very foreign to me, PV.
Yeah, I think the Mage deck is definitely an advantage here. Bearing kind of like a Sylvanas or a Mind Control, stealing a big guy, or a very good early game. If Kibler opens up with Undertaker into, Loot Hoarder into Dark Cultist, or even better, Hunter Creeper into Dark Cultist, then he could win the game. But if the game goes longer, I think Hyped has the advantage. And I don't think the Priest deck can stop the game from going longer consistently. So it will require a good draw from Brian Kibler to make the game end quickly. Basically, right. Undertaker or bust, kind of, the way I see it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I can get behind that. The Undertaker is going to be really valuable to get the Death Rattle Snowball underway. Now let's go into game 1. How will Brian Kibler be able to bounce back? Will he win some of his pride, or will Hyped be able to win his first series of the tournament and face off against Savitz for the possibility of advancing in second place? All right, kind of a slow start for Hyped, but this Mage deck is not exactly the most explosive out of the gate. And Kibler has a curve, but still kind of waiting for the best.
Yeah, in this Mage deck, the only card I feel we're truly happy to keep in your opening hand is Mad Scientist. Everything else you're very indifferent about or really don't want. So, Frostbolt really good here. But yeah, it's also the only other cost card that you want to play on turn 2, other than the Mad Scientist.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Now, Mage deck seems to not really have much to do for the next few turns, so he's going to utilize his mana now to play this duplicate, because hero power is easily negated by what Priest can do. And he has Molten Giant, so he's got ways to stall it out. If he's getting too low, he Molten Giant Frost Nova, and then Priest has to deal with the repercussions afterwards.
Yeah, he's gonna play the Power Word Shield to get his guy out of hero power range, which is just gonna prompt a very bad turn from Hyped. But the very next turn, there's already a Sledge Belcher coming out, and it's gonna get duplicated, and Kibler can't stop it. So we're looking at many turns of Sledge Belchers ahead of us.
To the future of Sludge Belchers, yeah? Let's make a toast. I think Kibler also drew into one of the better cards, Defender of Argus. That's a great way to just build your board. Also has Undertaker, though. And then Undertaker, of course, sets up for like a next turn Cairn. But I think value on Defender of Argus is too good to pass up.
Yeah, definitely. And gives him a chance to fight the Sledge Belcher kind of. He could potentially heal his Lit Hoarder to attack into Sledge Belcher and make it survive.
Yeah, interesting. Hyped kind of calculating what's the best way to manipulate his duplicate. But Sludge Belcher seems to be one of the better ones. It's like you mentioned, in later stages of the game, if you're getting swarmed down, you don't have the opportunity to drop double Sylvanas anymore, at least. Maybe if Duplicate was out when Sylvanas was 5 mana, it could, but not right now.
I never caught that. When I started playing, Sylvanas was already 6 mana. 5 mana Sylvanas looks great.
You want to know what's crazy is that it still took a while for it to catch on. Like, when BlizzCon rolled around, I think Trump was the only person who played Sylvanas in his entire deck. Or entire the competition. Like, no one else played Sylvanas. It was really weird.
I'm playing Sylvanas in all my decks right now.
Right. It's like, well, at the time, people were still kind of figuring out the game. Like, it's kind of unfair. People were playing, like, Imp Master with Sword of Justice.
What is Imp Master? Oh, wait, okay, the 1/5 that makes tokens. Okay.
Yeah. So then you have, like, the 2/2s, and then it's like, you spawn them, and they keep getting buffed. That was, like, the decks that people were making.
So no attacks from Brian Kibler here.
Wow. By the way, Polymorph on the Cairn is probably the best target possible other than Sylvanas. So Hyped getting great momentum here, shutting down that really powerful card from Priest.
Yeah, and Hype now gets the chance to attack the Loot Hoarder before he can heal back to 4 toughness. So that was kind of a missed opportunity here for Kibler to, get Vela for 0 power, but understandably he wanted to get that big minion in play. It would take his entire turn to do that.
Yeah, that was really forward thinking, in fact. Hero powering the Loot Hoarder on turn 4, so that way this could be a possibility, and then it wouldn't be able to be healed out of range. So, nice heads-up play.
Yeah, for sure. So it was already a 3 toughness guy. He got pumped by Defender of Argus, and then could have been healed back to 4 toughness. So, yeah, definitely very heads-up.
Right. Kibler now can start drawing cards with oh, just kidding. He has an Arcanized Soul Priest.
Yeah.
All right. How do you deal with this? Do you flood the board and just try to hope Sylvanas doesn't take something of value?
I think so. I mean, at first you probably ignore it. But, just... He does have Flame Strike mana. He doesn't have it, but Kibler doesn't know that. And there are 5 cards in his deck Kibler doesn't know about, so... It could be very dangerous to just flood the board and ignore Sylvanas, because you might end up with no board at all.
That is so true. You might be overextending into something else. But I think your board is a little bit too valuable just to risk giving it away to just Sylvanas and playing passive into it. So he's just going to push for damage. This gives Hype the opportunity to set up a Giant plus Frost Nova, and even set up a Flame Strike for the following turn. He's got a lot of tools at his disposal here.
Yeah, I imagine Frost Nova is going to come up now, and the next turn Flame Strike plus Hero Power. He can just use Sylvanas to get rid of, the Spider right now, then Holy Nova and shoot the Alchemy. Then next turn he can clear the board. Or just Holy Nova and, Frost Nova. Frost Nova and Sledge Belcher also works. But yeah, it's much better to Frost Nova now than in Flame Strike next turn than doing it the other way around. You get a lot more value of Flame Strike next turn, I think.
Definitely. I think you also want to plan how to incorporate Molten Giant and maybe Frost Nova number 2. You got so many ways to seize tempo into your favor by using this Frost Nova. It's actually pretty bananas, like what you can do with this. Not to mention he's also got second duplicate, so he can keep getting big taunters like Sludge Belcher that can really annoy and harass the zoo. But Brian Kibler has, oh, in fact, he's got a
Shadow
good way to
Madness.
deal with this. He's got Shadow Madness.
Yeah. You know, it could potentially be bad for him still if it stills the Sledge Belcher or, you know, even the Arcanine. But yeah, definitely a
One
good
out of
situation.
7 chance to do this.
No, it's not gonna get better than that, that's for sure.
All right, attack first, Shadow Madness. But if it takes the 3-5, or even the Arcanine away, that'd be really devastating for Kibler.
Yeah, I feel like he should, unless he's planning on not hero powering your guy anyway. Yeah, you know, he could maybe let his opponent steal something and then hero power that away, but I guess he just wants to go for the damage. And wouldn't be able to since he stole the Arcanine, so a good play from him.
Oh man, Arcanine stays frozen. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did
well, I
not.
guess that's funny. Situation that you happen. Wow, second Molten Giant, and he still has Frost Nova available to him, and with a full board, Priest really can't do anything, just use spells, and there's nothing at Brian Kibler's disposal to guarantee him to be able to finish this game.
So, do you think he should just go for double Giant Frost Nova now? Did the next turn Flame Strike the board away?
It's the obvious play.
Kind of like his opponent away. You know, Flame Strike right now is not horrible, but yeah, getting 16 power over creatures in play does seem better.
Yeah.
And Kibler can't even play another minion here.
Nope.
He's flat out of minions in play.
He's got.
So his turn is just gonna have to be go.
Yeah, he should threaten and heal his opponent's Molten Giant. That's pretty much all he can do. Wow, what a big swing of tempo to seize it away. He just basically denied 9 mana from his opponent.
Yeah.
Oh, and now he's got Mad Scientist, so maybe he can start digging closer for his Ice Block.
Yeah, he needs something to heal, so he can kill his Mad Scientist. I don't think he runs any heals. Yeah, I mean, Kibler doesn't run Holy Fire, so the only way for him to win is actually just either playing creatures or the Alkanai Zombie Child combo. There's only one Alkanai left, and Hype's 2 at 13.
I think Hyped could have attacked the Giant into this first, and then saved.
Yeah,
if he's going to do this, he could have saved some health on his Arcanine Soul Priest. Yeah.
Yeah, could have attacked with, like, the... Yeah, I guess so. It doesn't seem like it's going to matter a whole lot, but yeah.
Well, now he doesn't get the full clear unless he attacks with the Giants on everything, and that's going to be kind of annoying. I think you just kind of have to ignore it at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, if the Giant is attacking anyway, might as well make it attack the 3-5.
Yeah. All right, well, back over to Brian Kibler. He still has big problems on his hands. He's got ways to heal his opponent.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
At least he can finally heal himself, you know?
Yeah, I guess he can put that hero power to good use.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to be heal your opponent's minions. You know, play Nurture and Cleric and heal your Arcanine. If that doesn't work, you play Circle Healing. But at that point, then, even Arcanine doesn't help you because both circles, you don't have both circles anymore. But yeah, only solution I see.
That sounds like a Hail Mary to me.
Yeah, only solution I see is play Cleric and heal your opponent's guy and hope to draw into your second Arcanine. Imagine how different this game would be if Hyped hadn't stolen the Arcanine, he had stolen a 1-1 instead. He would have had to play this game so differently. Because suddenly, Kibler's hero power would be very threatening, and his hand would also be very threatening. Instead of 3 cards that do nothing.
It might have died to Flame Strike with the hero power instead of the Mad Scientist, but you're right, because then he'd be able to actually do a little bit more damage too, because he'd be able to hero power the face and do 2 damage. He'd been more active, but for sure, like taking that Arcanine Soul Priest is pretty unlucky.
Yeah, I feel like Kibler really just had to hope his next card was Hawkeye. Unless I'm forgetting something and both Hawkeyes already being gone, but I don't think that's the case. I don't
I
see
don't
how he
believe
can
so either.
win. I don't see how he can win like this.
Well, see, what can you do anything now?
Yeah, he's
I
playing that
don't.
duplicate, so well, no, one duplicate's already gone, so Mad Side would always get Ice Block anyway.
Mhm.
But he didn't have to play that duplicate, but you know, it puts you in a pretty good position.
Yeah, there's really nothing Brian Kibler can do whatsoever. The game's been checkmated because he can't kill the mage no matter what this turn. And he's got cards that can heal his opponent, so he's just going to concede. And Kibler's Priest has been taken down 3 times in a row. And unfortunately, he's going to have to rely on another class here once again in order to combat in this series. Now, he's going to go to Shaman, which I feel like is pretty decent for the same reason why it's good against Handlock. You have the Earth Shock for the Twilight Drakes, and you have big boards. You just have to make sure not to overextend too much into clears and flame strikes. But when you do, maybe you can disable his biggest threats with Hex and then go for a win.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, Shaman is favored against Handlock. I don't think it's overwhelmingly favored, but it is. And, you know, Hype Stack does seem a little bit like Handlock. So, yeah, it's definitely possible. You're right.
Yeah,
It's
at the same
definitely
time, though, it's like Handlock also helps kill himself, and Shaman can burst. Versus there's stuff like Ice Block, which could give the Shaman a hard time too. I'm not entirely sure what's the percentages at all, but I want to lean towards Shaman here.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that Ice Block against Shaman could buy you more than one turn. Because against a class like, you know, Hunter or Mage or Druid or even Rogue, you know, if you were at 1 life, they can guarantee kill you next turn. So you have to do something. But Shaman is not that class. You know, if you were at 1 life versus Shaman, it's possible that if you clear the board, they can't actually kill you next turn.
Also true. Also true. Unless they have something from the hand directly, that's for sure. Let's go into game 2 and see if Hyped can continue this trend, or will Brian Kibler start winning with his Shaman here and potentially take a series to play the spoiler.
So again, yeah, Hype doesn't really want to see any of his cards that are not, you know, Arcane Intellect or Mad Scientist. You know, Frostbolt is potential keep. You know, it does get rid of Flame Totem, which is one of the ways the Shaman deck could just burst you out of the game. So I like keeping it. I think I would if I was him. And Kibler's hand is a little bit slow, but, you know, nothing super slow. He does have a couple threats.
Yeah, he's got ways to kind of keep his hand going too, like Gnomish Inventor, and then Feral Spirits is often great value early on. So I like what you said. So what do you feel like are some of the key cards, aside from just the removals that line up for the Shaman here? Is there anything that we're kind of forgetting, PV, that comes to your mind that like might be really helpful for Shaman to win this match?
I don't think so. I think, you know, it's just establishing your board presence and, you know, killing your opponent's creatures. Like, oh, the thing, Shaman is good because you are spending so, like, you know, a lot less mana than your opponent to answer his threats. Your answers cost 1 and 3, and his threats cost, you know, 4, 6, 7. But if you can't capitalize on that, you know, if it's turn 10, does it matter that his threats cost 6 and your answer costs 3? It really doesn't. So I think Shaman needs to establish an early board presence. But I guess if I had to choose something else going for it, it would be hero power, which is, I think, better than the mage's hero power. But probably not better enough to win the very late game, unless an early advantage is acquired.
All right, well, I think I can get behind that. I can agree. Now, Hyped introduced with like an interesting development of sorts. He's got 2 of his secrets already in hand, by the way. So Mad Scientist already kind of like one of the scenarios where, how much value am I going to actually really get here? And does he want to go for a board clear of some kind? Does he want to try and get a secret early on? He doesn't really have any more other minions. His hand is very situational at the moment.
Yeah, this is a pretty good turn though for him, I think, because having that 2-power minion in play unopposed means he can just threaten all the totems that Kibler plays. So you really want to be able to attack those creatures to not let the board get out of control. And by playing the way he did, he uses coin, sure, but he guarantees that he can kill the totem for free next turn, unless it's the 1/1 totem. So yeah, I like his play. So now Kibler either uses hero power and plays a spider, or just plays feral spirits. And if he plays feral spirits, one spirit is immediately going to die to attack plus hero power, and then he won't have a play next turn. So I think he cannot afford the overload next turn. He has to have 5 mana next turn, so he has to hero power and play a spider here.
You don't like the Gnomish Inventor play?
Yeah, actually I do. Yeah, actually I think I like that play more than any alternative.
Well, maybe he was trying to play around something that doesn't come to mind immediately, because now it's like an Azure Drake turn.
Yeah, you want to hero power as much as you can, obviously, but in a situation where you're hero powering to basically save 2 damage because it's gonna die regardless to a free attack, then I definitely like the Gnomish Inventor better. All right.
Fair enough. All right, now with 2 duplicates in hand, that means Hyped has Ice Block here already popped up and locked and loaded.
Yeah, and his Mad Scientist is not going to do anything anymore. Though Kibler doesn't know that, he might, Earthshock it or something to prevent a second from coming into play.
All right, this is where Shaman can really start collecting value off of the Haunted Creeper, and if it goes according to plan, you can go for an easy trade.
Yeah, with Flame Totem, and definitely the play here, I think. And Hypes only has 5 mana, so he can't Flame Strike your way this turn. I think if that is duplicate, you don't really care that he gets 2 water elementals anymore, because it's one of his weaker minions anyway, and he can only play 1 next turn. So I think you're going to win this game by constricting him on mana rather than on cards. So you actually want him to pop that with a duplicate. You don't particularly care.
Yeah, good observation. Also, this is still just the second game, so you're not sure about what the lineup of secrets are. So you have to kind of be very cautious. There's 5 or 6 secrets that Mage can run that might ruin your day. So be careful just to not overextend a little bit into stuff.
Yeah, this turn he actually, played around most things. He played around Mirror Entity by just pulling a totem. Ooh, Hyped setting up the, that's very unlikely that this thing survives against Shaman, but it looks like it will. It's very easy for it to get silenced or
not
hacked,
with a lightning bolt draw, though. That's exact damage for the fire.
Oh yeah, that finished it off, yeah. And puts another minion in play, and one that has 5 toughness, so it survives Flame Strike. I like the positioning here by Brian, by the way. It's more likely that your opponent wins to kill the Drake, so you just put it on the left. And if you hero power, your totem's going to right, so you're gonna get minions in that spot anyway. Yeah, and Hype doesn't have Flame Strike here. And even if he did, he would still take 6 damage.
Not looking good, so he's just going to have to play a minion and hope his opponent doesn't have the perfect response.
Yeah, at this point, do you think, well, my opponent didn't play Flame Strike this turn, he probably doesn't have it, I'm just going to set up a wall of taunts and hit him for, a lot of damage, or 16 damage this turn, and then, 16 more next turn, and pop that Ice Block.
I wouldn't mind, honestly. It sounds pretty decent. You don't even have to play Feral Spirits if you want to lock up your mana. You can play Defender of Argus.
Yeah, or Sledge Belcher.
Or Sledge Belcher.
Sledge Belcher is good because it guarantees your elemental is not dying next turn. Even to Flame Strike plus an attack.
Sure. So play Sledge Belcher right next to the Flame Tongue Totem after you attack.
Yeah, that seems very sensible. I would definitely ignore that Cairn here. If it soaks up 10 points of damage while training with a couple of creatures, that's exactly what Hype wants. So I would just go for the face.
All right. Well, Kibler looks like he's finally turned around. Well, Doomhammer is going to also give himself just more damage, I suppose. I don't see why not. And Hype's in a very difficult spot. Yeah, but now he exposes
himself to... Oh, he really doesn't, to Flame Strike.
Oh, well, hey, man, you called it.
Yeah, but, it's still tough for him because that Doomhammer is going to, it's enough to lethal him every time. So he's going to pop the first Ice Block, then the second one. And Hyde has to kill him before that happens. He does have a nade, which is a great way to do that. But Kibler has kind of a wall of taunts here.
Yeah, and he also has a Frostbolt. But he has Fire Elemental as direct damage. So it's actually very important for Kibler to hold this Fire
Not play.
Elemental.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Hyde has to draw Alexstrasza here.
Well, he has 2 turns to do it. Sylvanas is not it.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect you're right. We're going to see a Frostbolt here. Oh, are we? Because he can't clear the board, didn't he? Oh, he could clear the board, but it would cost him... Yeah, we're probably going to see a Frostbolt here.
Well, he's got Ice Block number 2, which most likely will have to come out here. And it's so difficult for Hype to try to figure out a way to 2-turn lethal his opponent.
Yeah, it is very difficult. So he has to hope that the Frostbolt buys him a turn.
But by developing Frostbolts...
I mean, you can't play Ice Block Sylvanas anyway, so might as well just Frostbolt it and playing Mad Scientist and hoping that your opponent doesn't have a way to pop Ice Block right now.
Okay, Environmental will do so. And then it just comes down to whether or not Hyped has a Taunter.
Yeah, he needs Alexstrasza here, or a Lich Belcher, I guess, also works. But Kibler has Earthshock, so it has to be Alexstrasza.
All right. Well, the follow-up to this, Feral Spirit seems as good as a play as others. Just, again, putting out minions so that way you can get the strongest chance to lethal your opponent. Hyped does pick up a Taunter, but like you said, the Earthshock will allow Kibler to push through, so it looks like Hyped has drawn short of ending the game.
Yeah, I mean, Hyped has to know his chances of surviving are not high, because his opponent hasn't played a Hex or an Earthshock yet. And so he probably has one of them. But if he didn't, then he would have his Lich Belcher duplicate. So...
Yeah, it's too bad. Unfortunately, he didn't have Double Belcher. Double Belcher probably could have done something. Attack with the Mad Scientist and reveal no secret whatsoever from the deck.
Yeah, so Hab's going to do what he can, but it's not going to be enough.
Right, well, now Brian Kibler is going to even up the series.
He's just dead on board here, right? Not even... Has he attacked yet? Or...
well, he's going to trade into the Fire Elemental.
Oh, okay, I thought he already attacked.
He knows that he's dead if he leaves this up. Yeah, okay. Right. And then the Earthshock reveals it. The Hex would also be good, but Kibler knows that there's 2 ice blocks already, so there's no possible way. It only has to be Counterspell or Spellbender, but it should be good enough. Ooh, and Kibler's going to win and even up the series here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was a reasonably close game. You know, Hype managed to, almost pull it off, but in the end, the pressure was just too much. And he's going to go with Hunter now. And historically, Hunter is a deck that most people associate with being very good against Shaman. Particularly because, your hero power is very good to have no heals, only some taunts, you can go through that with hero power. And because their hero power makes your unleashes a lot more powerful. But lately, people have been saying that some versions of Shaman actually have a good matchup against Hunter. We see Fake from yesterday, he didn't even have Hunter. He was relying on his Shaman deck to beat other Hunter decks. So, this is a big proving ground, I guess, for this matchup.
Yep, it's not as clear-cut as you thought it'd be, as Shaman does have a chance against a lot of what the Hunter can throw at him. Now, the specific Hunter from Hyped seems to be a mix of the early game aggression of Undertaker Hunter. If you just get a good start, you just snowball. You have a lot of death rattles to make effect, but you're not scaling back the late game at all. We saw some players cut high mains from their deck. Hyped has included it and has only run like a couple traps. He took out a Mad Scientist. He just really values it, only playing 1 Houndmaster, which we also saw Savit's doing.
Yeah, well, 1 Mad Scientist is very bold here. I mean, even if you only have 2 freezing traps, it's not that bad a minion by itself. You have Undertakers. There's definitely a chance one is correct, and he probably knows a lot better than I do. But man, does it take a lot of games to come to the conclusion that you want exactly one mad scientist?
All right, well, let's go into game one or game three here, as because you said one mad scientist, totally threw me off. Let's go into game three and see if Hype can win with this Hunter deck and show why this class is to be feared. Or will Brian Kibler get good draws? Urshock is a great start for things. Hex, of course, against the high main, so we keep that in his back pocket for now. Meanwhile, Hype doesn't have exactly the cleanest of mulligans, so he's going to try to toss away for an earlier start.
Yeah, and he does get, the combination of Leopardnum plus Savannah High Main, which are two cards with somewhat incredibly different game plans. But, this can happen when you play, both kinds of those in your deck. That's the price you pay for, being able of having, both a good early game start and a late game win.
All right, well, he's kind of whiffing here. Double High Main is very slow with the two heaviest cards in his deck. And he's doesn't really even have a clear indication of what to do after that. So it's going to be kind of tricky. Hype doesn't have, the insurance of Unleash the Hounds yet. But he's got Buzzard, so maybe as the game develops, he can draw into ways to do stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And, this Hype's Hunter deck seems to be the kind of deck that you have to reevaluate, what position you're going to take based on what half of your deck you draw. And it seems like, with this hand, he should probably go for the long game instead of... not that he has a lot of choices here, but yeah. Ooh, he does draw the next part of his combo.
Wow. So now this Eagle Horn Bow can set up by killing tokens and making it so that Unleash the Hounds is very powerful. Now, you're worried about Defender of Argus, making sure that it doesn't buff things out of range. So if you kill off the tokens now, then Defender of Argus will disallow you from being able to do it in the next turn, because then you up to 2/2. So this is an interesting choice here from Hyped.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, I think you have to go with that. It's, kind of the obvious choice, and I think in this case the correct one. You're gonna get Defender of Argus here, but it's not that big a deal. Your opponent's gonna have 4 minions in play by the time you Buzzard Unleash. So even if you don't get to kill all of them with your Unleash, you're still drawing 4 cards. So at this point, Hype Hand is so heavy that he probably isn't worried as much about cards as he's about, stuff in play. So he would prefer to have more things in play than more cards in hand, even by like a big amount.
Well, now that no Mission Venture's out and no Defender of Argus, Hype can kill 3 of the minions guaranteed and maybe even pick up Hunter's Mark to clear it. And clearing the Shaman's board is always the thing you want to do against this class to deny synergy with a lot of the cards that they have.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like it won't be possible to get rid of his board, but, still gonna kill 3 minions and draw 4 cards for his troubles. Does pick up a Leroy too, tripping up for a lot of damage in his hand. 2 kill commands in the Leroy.
Yep, 16 right here. You start in the back of your mind worrying about something like what Hex could present if your opponent builds the board. Say he drops a minion, you're dropping High Main, he hexes, drops another minion, and then you're back in a position where it's going to be really tough to fight back.
Yeah, definitely. And now that one Unleash is gone, right, Kibler could just feel safer to just play more cards. And yeah, it's going to be a devastating blow for Hype here when this High Main gets hacked. He's going to take, 7 damage. And his opponent will still be able to play something else. Ooh, and a second hex. So the second High Main or his Ledge Belcher will not leave as well. Like, he won't take 7 because he's good.
I like Flame Tongue Totem here too, to start pressuring and putting a lot of damage back on the Hunter.
Yeah, I do so too.
Okay. Going a little bit of the safer route.
Yeah, just to kill the beast. It stops Houndmaster, makes kill command weaker, though it actually kills everything there anyway. It draws his second Unleash.
Oh man, second high main because you feel like the board isn't even that much stronger than it was before. But then the second hex, and Brian Kibler's nodding. He knows this is exactly the game plan. So,
Yeah.
oh, Hype taking a breathe sigh because realizing that he's like, oh, you needed precisely those two cards to deal with it that efficiently. I guess the good news is that Brian's taking a little bit more of a passive stance. If you had Flame Tongue Totem out and was pushing damage, he like Hype would be in a really difficult spot.
Yeah, he is in a really difficult spot. Like, he doesn't have any Timberwolves in his deck, so like playing Unleashed Hounds here won't even do much because he doesn't have enough damage to so that they're threat and lethal, and he doesn't have enough power to actually kill Kibler's creatures. Because he needs two. Ooh, now he needs even more. Yeah, I think he's just pretty dead here.
Let's see if there's a way for him to squeeze out. If you kill command and unleash
You know,
the
he
hounds.
doesn't have a Hunter's Mark either, so all those tokens are not even going to be enough to kill the taunt guys. He has to... I don't know what he can do. He's going to play Sledge Belcher and, you know, hope that's enough.
But I believe that's just enough damage, I think. You just push through because he's got 6 in the hand. Well, he's got
Lightning Storm. I don't think it's enough damage. Like, even if Lightning Storm can only... With Lightning Storm, he can only do 9, right? Because he has to Lightning Storm plus attack Belcher and then attack it again. So he has 10 damage.
Oh, you're right. He's 10 damage right now.
He has to roll a Spell Power Totem. Yeah.
Spell Power Totem actually can help you win here.
And even if it's not that, you know, the Taunt Totem is still good. And the 1/1 Totem is also not bad. So.
Alright, well, Lightning Storm first. You roll high, maybe you can dream big. And he does get it. Most certainly probably should roll the Totem now. See what he gets.
The thing is that if he gets the Spell Power Totem, he wins anyway. So he doesn't have to do it first. Oh no, he wouldn't have. He rolled low. Yeah, you're right. You should have done it first.
Well, Hyped ends up looking like he can't do much here, and once again, Shaman's surprising the Hunter and being able to take it down. And yeah. Hype's supposedly best response here has been sniped by the Shaman deck that's been performing very well against this class.
Yeah, I mean, look at his hand. It's stacked, but none of his cards, you know, actually do anything against such an overwhelming board. You know, he got pretty unlucky in that he drew all his 6 drops early on, and he could only play 1 a turn, and they both got answered by a card that cost 3 mana. So a huge tempo swing.
We know Hyped is dead, but if he kills off this Flame Tongue Totem, his opponent's still short of damage. And you mentioned that like the 1 extra damage from Shaman sometimes can be tricky to get if you don't have a lot of cards left. So maybe if Hyped rolls a taunt of some kind, able to kill command, maybe he can do this, but I don't think there is. You know, there's not a taunt right there. He doesn't have Houndmaster, and it looks like Hype should be going down after this.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't know that, but yeah.
All right, Brian Kibler's up 2-1 over Hyped, and if he takes down Hyped here, then it's going to be very difficult for Hype to actually advance because he needs to 3-0 Savits, I believe, if that's the case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely not a good position to be in. So yeah, Brian Kibler manages to, again, beat Hunter with Shaman. I think that was the outcome every time we've seen his matchup been played in this tournament.
All right, now we're going to go to Warrior versus Shaman. Matchup that I don't really feel like is that good for the Warrior, but maybe he can do this. He is playing Brawl. Calento, we saw him not playing Brawl. That was probably the reason why he struggled so much against a class like Shaman. But Hyped is, and he also has some interesting other tech choices like Ysera, which seems to be like one of those big late game cards that can go toe-to-toe with most control decks.
Yeah, even then I would still have to give the edge to the Shaman deck because, you know, Warrior's board clear is not that great, and and it's very easy for the Shaman deck to just have a good threatening board because of its hero power and a lot of ways to make your creatures more powerful. That you end up forcing good single removal spells into very bad minions. And at the same time, you have single target removal spells, but you also have good targets. So I think it's better for the Shaman deck here.
For sure, I'm gonna agree with you, but I'm also a little hesitant because Warrior can always surprise people, and the early lead can be really good for hype to the point where it might not matter. Go into board and see what hyped can do to pull himself back, or Brian Kibler get his first series win and take out, I guess, the runner-up from VGVN2 and send him home a little bit early.
Yeah, definitely don't want Lightning Storm here. I'm surprised you don't want Feral Spirit though. And Feral Spirit is like a card I always want.
Yeah, Feral Spirits can give Warrior a really tough time, especially if you make sure to avoid giving cards like Fiery War Axe, the 1-for-1. And then you protect really valuable minions, whether it's cards like Manatide Totem or Flame Tongue, and then you're able to get really good trades.
Yeah, but I mean, even the kind of like worst case scenario, which is Fiery War Axe, is still a 1-for-1, and they take 4 damage. So I mean, you get a little bit constrained on your mana, but Feral Spirit is kind of like Druid's Animal Companion, in which you probably want it in most hands. I think it always does at least something in each matchup. Be that defend your guys or threaten some damage. There are very few cards like that, I think, in which I would always keep, but that's probably one of those.
Well, Unstable Ghoul challenges the Haunted Creeper directly. Makes it a little bit tricky for Brian to see what he wants to do from here, but Harvest Golem is a drop that you probably don't want to miss. It's just so strong early on.
Yeah, definitely, and it will let him kill that ghoul. Ghoul, whatever you pronounce that.
Yeah.
Without losing a lot.
Yeah.
So Hype does have
goal is something Brazil couldn't do against Germany.
You were correct. We got one.
Yeah, I guess.
Huh. Yeah, so now he could play Acolyte and, kind of guarantee to get 2 draws off it at least, unless it gets silenced.
Yeah, you're always afraid of Earthshock.
I imagine it's got to be the best play here.
I think so too, because you have to force your opponent to have it, and getting a really good early lead with Acolyte, make sure you don't get out of cards, is part of the early game plan of Warrior, so that way your late game can be transitioned smoothly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Oh, there's your Earthshock.
Oh, man. Well, that's perfect top deck for Kibler.
Yeah, he actually has 2 decent targets here. Yeah, it has to be the Acolyte, I think. He doesn't care about that gold that much. He's still going to be left with, his Harvest Golem at 1 toughness and 2 Spiderlings.
Yeah, I certainly think so. I think you also kill this off. You don't really care too much about the spell, Power Totem, or anything. You do lose the 1/1 token, but that's a little annoying. Oh, he's going to go with Feral Spirits to protect his board and try his best to do what he can with it, so there we go.
Could we see a Brawl here?
Ooh.
Well, now that he drew the goal, probably not, since the goal is almost a mini Brawl by itself, and doesn't use coin.
Yeah, it's too early to Brawl.
Yeah, there are 5 minions there, though. Yeah, that's probably what he's considering, either Brawl or Unstable Ghoul. And also, if he does play Unstable Ghoul, does he want to Armor Up or play Armor's Myth?
If you play Ghoul, though, next turn you can play Black Knight, and then you can kind of remove it. Unstable Ghoul most likely will snipe some of these smaller tokens, and the board is not as scary as you think. But then that also gives 2 turns for Shaman to kind of set something up too. So,
yeah, no, I do think Unstable Ghoul is better. But I think if he hadn't drawn that, I think he would have just Brawled. Maybe not. If you're playing a stable goal here, uh, the Harvest Golem can't really attack into it because then it will also kill the 2/1 minion that comes from Harvest Golem because his death route is going to happen first. So that puts you in a pretty decent position.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think this is probably this is probably the best option that Hyped has. And now Kibler's kind of picked up a turn where he can do something against a smaller board, but it's a little annoying. He's got to take away some of his HP here.
Yeah, for sure. And the best would be to just attack that 2/1 into the goal so that you can clear the armor smith with the two wolves, but that makes you lose your token and makes you lose a wolf. So definitely not a good position.
And the Harvest Golem is just a spectator this turn. Because if you attack into anything, you're going to be losing the token.
Yeah, you might have to though. Maybe it's worth it to be able to kill the armor smith. Because if the Harvest Golem doesn't attack, then the armor smith doesn't die.
That's a good point. I think the armor smith does represent a big annoyance. You still can actually answer it though with a rock biter, but I think rock biter is better served for another purpose. Oh, he rolls the healing totem.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I would just rock biter it this way. Rock biter. Yeah, healing totem was pretty good here. Okay. Though he's probably getting one of his guys Black Knighted.
Yeah. Ooh.
So it feels better to Black Knight the 2/2 than a 2/1.
I guess, for your own for your own sanity, right? It's like, oh, it's not just a 1 damage infernal, I guess, but now what's important for Hyped is also seeing cards like Rockbiter being used immediately on Armorsmith and not for a burst combination. So as much as Kibler is able to kind of eliminate the board every time, there's going to come to a point where Hyped also is not afraid of certain ranges that the Shaman can do. So like Kibler is spending a lot of his resources, so that way he has board presence.
Yeah, but I think that's how this game is won. I think this is definitely a game about board and not about life total. Like, especially if it's turn 6 and he's at 33, like, how much do you really want to burst him down? I think just establishing a better board, using your hero power to get more totems, getting gradual advantage every turn, is a better approach than trying to burst him out. I'd definitely be happy to use my removal spells and minions rather than saving him for a burst turn.
Yeah, I agree. I think the tempo plays with cards like Hex and building the board are so strong. I don't like using Hex on this, though, because there's so many stronger targets for sure.
Yeah, that minion is just exactly enough big size that it's very annoying, but also small enough that you don't really want to remove it. So, if it was a 4/4, it could have died. If it was a 7/7, you would gladly Hex it, but it's a 4/5. So it's kind of annoying.
All right, well, Hype's starting to draw into the denser part of his deck so he can start having bigger threats and hopefully make his opponent play really inefficient. As much as these totems where 1/3 can do a lot of work, surprisingly, they have to crash into the gate that is the Sludge Belcher.
Yeah, I think the Sludge Belcher does merit a Hex here. There are a lot of more powerful minions in your Hype stack, but if that Sludge Belcher is going to trade for your entire board. So I think you kind of have to pull the trigger here as much as you don't want to. Unless you're going to Lightning Storm, which is... Lightning Storming actually seems better, because it also kills the Black Knight you have the spell power done. Yeah, definitely Lightning Storm.
Alright, well, Lightning Storm and the ability to see what trade you want afterwards. Not to mention you have Defender of Arcs to build the board, but this is good. Lightning Storm is often a little bit of a more expendable card, that's the word I'm looking for, when you're facing against a deck or a class that only plays 1 threat at a time, like Warrior. So you often don't really get to hit more than 2 targets, honestly.
Yeah, and we're probably going to see a Brawl next turn.
I would have to imagine so, considering that both defenders have been used. You've also seen a Feral Spirits. One of the things you're afraid of Brawl is that the immediate reload off of what Shaman can do is still scary because they can play Fire Elemental, Feral Spirits, and then they have 3 minions on board. They can just Feral Spirits, Defender of Argus, and put 4 minions with Taunt and make your
Yeah.
weapon kind of useless.
Yeah, for sure. But at this point, it just seems way better than any alternative. This board is no, it's a bunch of bad creatures, but it's actually very threatening. I would be very surprised if he doesn't brawl here. I can't imagine Kibler is going to commit more to the board, other than
Wow.
his hero power.
He's going to shield block and just wait for his opponent to load up a little bit more. And then Lotheb actually seals away Brawl for the next turn. So Hype's going to pay for 8 mana twice over. Or sorry, 9 damage twice over.
Yeah, he takes, he takes 10 now, actually, and he's facing 18 next turn. He can't even shield block Shield Slam.
All right, well, now next turn he's got Armor Smith and Brawl. Kibler has the Hex, and he's got the damage with Lightning Bolt. And I think this gamble from for Hyped, it could pay off if he's able to get past this point.
No,
it's
what?
High stakes.
Why did the 2/1 attack the frog?
Playing around Molten Giant.
Yeah. I feel like the best option here would probably be just to Hex after combat, because you don't care about that 0/1 staying there. Well, maybe you do because of Brawl. Yeah, here in this position is always interesting. Do you play your guy before Brawl to give you a chance to actually get, be the only guy in play, or do you hold it after? I think here you hold it, but it's always an interesting decision.
Yeah, when you have the ability to shield block, shield slam, and like in the worst case scenario, I think this is better.
Yeah, no, here I think it's the clear decision, but there are a lot of interesting situations where do you just add something else to the board in the hope that you get to keep one of your guys if you're that desperate. Here, I don't think he's very desperate.
Oh, it was close. Let me tell you.
And that was the worst one. How's that totem called?
This is called the Searing Totem, but you can also call it the Paladin Hero Power.
I think it's a pig for some reason. I guess it's not a pig.
Oh,
yeah, so now
really? I guess the little edges can look like ears. So oink oink.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I hear when I roll it anyways. It's like
So game's looking pretty bad for Kibler now. Who, lost all his board and then has all those spells in his hand that are only good if you have a board.
All right, Hype actually picks up Sludge Belcher, another target that could warrant some Hex if Kibler loses the board. He needs something big here to bring him back into the game, but Shaman also struggles with some of the card draw. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, there are no good alternatives for him here. I think that the board chip is kind of settled. He does have Fire Elementals and Olakir in his deck. So, but yeah, now, he can't burst his opponent, and he can't win the board either. So what's his skill condition left? I don't think he has any.
Well, he's got Doomhammer, but that's going to still be tough to push through this entire state of the board. And his opponent's going to be gaining a lot of armor off of double Sludge Belcher with Armor Smith behind it. That Kibler's even thinking about lightning bolting that so it doesn't get too far out of range. Now, there's still a lot of threats that the Warriors also going to start hitting into too. Some of their late game cards beyond Cairn, like Ragnaros, Alex Straza. We know Hype runs Ysera, and there's only one Hex. So Kibler's eventually just gonna be out of ability to shield himself from whatever comes his way.
Yeah, definitely.
As soon as Hype draws it.
Yeah, and he's actually saving the Hex here. Oh, is he gonna take? No. I guess he's attacking lightning bolting it. But it looks like he kind of delays the inevitable at this point.
Yeah, hyped from this point can keep cycling too. He's even got removal for maybe another card that can come. Oh wow, Sylvanas draw. So if this gets hacked, there's still another big minion coming. And Warrior controlling the board against Shaman. As much as Shaman was trying to use his hero power, everything is a little bit feeble at the moment.
Yeah. Anything that Kibler can do now is just worse than what his opponent already has in play. I think it's definitely not looking good for him.
Okay, I'm trying to think of a series of draws that can bring Kibler back into this, but I'm not really seeing it. He's even holding his Doomhammer, saying, I don't even want to attack the frog. You're not worth my time.
Yeah. Probably should have attacked the frog, but... Okay, so Ragnar's here, and you're happy whatever the outcome is. You prefer hitting face, but you don't care if it kills the guy.
I think you want to hit face because this is just a 2-8. That was basically an Oasis Snapjaw worth. Well, you have Mana Tide Totem to draw. If this is a Taunt Totem, maybe that can give him a way to draw 2 cards. But absolutely no way. He picks a Fire Elemental. This is going to be really tricky.
Yeah, for sure. Again, at this point, it's pretty academic, I think. Even picked up a weapon to make sure that Ragnaros hits face. So.
Okay.
The weapon effectively attacking for 8 damage.
Kind of surprised Hyped allow his Sludge Belcher to take an extra damage to be taken out by the Doomhammer.
Yeah, he wanted to guarantee a hit to the face, but yeah, it was not necessary, I guess.
Well, I'm saying he could have used his weapon to kill the 1/1, and Sludge Belcher could have killed the Mana Tide.
Oh yeah, you're definitely right. Yeah, he doesn't at this point. I don't think he cares about, taking a little bit more damage. He's at a healthy 25.
All right, yeah, Kibler also doing a good job, just trying to scout what his opponent's running too, because you want to make sure you can see what your opponent might have tech-wise, in case it surprises you. Like he sees Ysera, and then the next deck he runs, he has to kind of keep that in mind. But there's just so much removal. I'm pretty sure Hyped, there's just no way for him to lose this game whatsoever. And Kibler is staring at his last turn here.
Yeah, I mean, Kibler does not even have a hex anymore, and let alone 2 hexes, which is what he would need here.
Boom.
No, I guess it doesn't die immediately.
Well, yeah. I suppose this Ragnaros could keep him, the Ragnaros could miss for a couple turns. Sludge Belcher, able to do something. And Sylvanas could actually take something, though, because the Flame Tongue Totem does buff it.
Yeah.
In fact, because of this, did you want to place the Flame Tongue to not kill Sylvanas? I don't know.
But then how are you going to deal with Sylvanas? This is going to be their next turn. So I really don't think it matters, because I don't think it matters what you do, but assuming you have some great card in your deck that you could top deck, then I would do it the way Kibler did it. Yeah, and Ragnaros refuses to put Kibler out of his misery.
No, Ragnaros doesn't end games. Oh my, Alakir. Wow, if he had Alakir and still the Flame Tongue, could have been a different story. And now he's got to kill his own minion, betrayed by his own cards.
He doesn't lose Divine Shield to do that, but yeah.
Well, he's going to kill off the Acolyte, but if you don't push for damage, when are you going to? Now, interestingly enough, Hype can't actually play this big game Hunter because it doesn't allow you to be played unless you trigger its Battle Cry, which means you have to kill off Ragnaros. But
really? It's not opponent? Oh, I had no idea.
BGH has to target 7 or a higher attack creature, so it's just gonna sit here. Although there are cool combos that you can do because of it. Stay in you're running the Thaddeus Twins as Ragnaros just refused to end the game once again. Then you run the Thaddeus Twins, and you have Stalag come out as your second minion for the combo, you can BGH your own Stalag to have an 11/11. Now
Sure.
that's a weird case scenario where it doesn't always apply, but it's just like one of these scenarios where you could do that in case it ever comes down to it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're gonna have your opponent have a Ragnar's in play for many turns, Shaman is the class to do it because you can. There's always you're always gonna play minions from your hero power so that it could potentially let you develop your board while getting your hero power hit every time.
Wow.
But yeah, now that the Drake is dying,
this is starting to become a little bit hilarious that Hyped can't finish the game with Rag. Like, what is going on that Rag can't finish the game? Is he going to hit the 1/1 here? And then all of a sudden he's lost 4 rolls in a row?
Yeah, Hype like use and execute for no reason.
Okay. Finally. Good lord.
Because he could have killed the 1/1 and then Ragnar's would either shoot the Drake or Kibler, but obviously at this point it doesn't matter. Ragnar's finally does it.
All right, now moving on to game 5, where the Druid deck tries to go against the Warrior, where I feel like Druid is in a really advantageous position. This is a deck that can really throw off the Warrior early game. The threats that you can place with Innervate can lead really strong plays into the late game with Savage Roar, and you keep the armor low at all times. So this is going to be really difficult for Hype to pull out if Kibler gets a good start.
Yeah, again, those matchups are all very start dependent. You know, if Kibler stumbles or Hype has, a lot of his early game in his opening hand, then he could survive up to a point where, he can no longer lose the game. But yeah, if Kibler comes out very quickly, it will force him Hype to, have a lucky brawl or something.
All right, another series, another game 5. It's been pretty tightly contested in Group B, short of one really dominant series. In the very beginning, Brian Kibler versus Nyria, which ended up 3-0 in Nyria's favor. Let's go to game 5 and see who is going to come out on top. Will Hyped be able to even up his score and face Savitz with a chance to advance? Or will Brian Kibler bring Hype down and force a weird potential tie between Hype and Savitz? Who knows?
Yeah, and who doesn't want to keep unstable goal? Interesting. I would imagine this is one of the cards he was looking for against this particular Druid version. It matches up reasonably well against the Death Rattle token makers, and is a way to stem the bleeding early on, but apparently not interested.
Yeah, that is curious.
Meanwhile,
I think he's also wondering what kind of Druid it is.
Oh yeah, definitely, because that guy is so bad against Ram Druid, so maybe he just doesn't want to risk it. Kibler's hand on the other hand is very interesting. He's gonna have, turn 2 and 3 Shades potentially. Shade is pretty good against Warrior if it grows up to a point where, it demands 2 cards to be removed.
Yeah, double Shade is pretty insane start for the Druid deck here, because you just can't remove it. You can't remove what you don't see without Brawl.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it has to be Shade here. I'm always, a big fan of just playing Shade as early as you can, so that it grows more and more. So there's definitely a chance that, just playing Harvest Golem is correct. I would lean towards Shade. Harvest Golem.
I think Shade is a stronger start overall than Harvest Golem comparatively, because the extra attack is more important, and like you said, the more time you have. There are scenarios where if you want to stick your board, if you're fighting early on against pressure, but I think Shade is better.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's you lose out on some damage because you're not attacking with your Shade. You would be attacking with Harvest Golem. But Hunter Creeper I did not expect. One good thing about Shade is that if you play Harvest Golem and they play Acolyte of Pain, then that's kind of annoying. You have to give them 2 cards, whereas if you have a Shade, you can just attack it.
Yeah, also good point.
But now you might just have to give him, maybe even 3 cards if he doesn't want to suppose that Shade.
All right, Hype gonna get some mileage out of his Fiery War Axe now before later. And now also make it where the Shade might have to reveal himself if, picks up Unstable Ghoul. That's excellent.
Oh, that was a great card to draw.
Yep.
It was actually fantastic because, now Hype can't even finish off that Acolyte with what's in play. He has to hero power it, and then it's 2 more cards for hyped.
Well, he drew Keeper the Grove, so that's one way to deal with it.
Yeah, it is.
The best way to deal with it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what he's going to do. The Keeper does have, a decent amount of targets, and 2 of them are in Hype's hand already. So he won't be as unhappy to see the Keeper he might otherwise be.
Think of an alternative play, and I'm pretty sure Brian is as well. I don't see anything that's that much better. Well, he's going to go for Spectrum Knight. Well, I guess it makes sense considering that this is a really powerful minion, and it's another thing that Warrior can't deal with, at least at the moment.
Well, he can. He could just attack it with everybody, and that would kill it.
Oh, you're right,
the weapon. And...
the extra whirlwind effect.
Yeah, it's probably going to do that. He will be glad to do that. Yeah, draws 2 cards and gets rid of, what is probably Kibler's most annoying minion in his entire deck.
So Kibler wanted this to happen, and he gave up his coin, so that way he could get the board clear by itself, like his suicides into it. But
yeah,
I don't know. Like you give Warrior 2 cards, and now he's Sludge Belcher, so it's not like this Shade can contest anyways.
Yeah, I think it would have been better to just play Keeper there, or at least not exposing your Spectrum Knight to just being killed on board, since it's such a hard minion to kill. And your opponent got to kill it for no mana, so he actually just gained a lot of tempo. He got to be the one that passes the turn with a threat in play. So you do have that guy to silence it, but now your Shade can't attack again because it would just get killed by this Sludge Belcher.
All right. Well, Karen is another good card just to be very sticky. Hyped still kind of worried eventually about what the Shade can do, but he's got Shield Block, and maybe compare that to Shield Slam. Not to mention that Kibler doesn't seem to be playing very fast, right? He doesn't have some of the power turns that he's come to expect yet, where it's like a Defender of Argus on like the Echoing Ooze just yet, which might come the following turn. And even if that happens, Hype still has like weapons and ways to kind of climb back with some taunters. So I think Hype's in a pretty decent spot here, unless Kibler can start really swarming the board and forcing Hype's hand, so that way he's taking too much damage.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I would definitely take, Hype at this point in the game. He has better board, better hand. Uses to attack the 2/1, which, makes it vulnerable to an attack plus hero power, but apparently doesn't really care about that. Sludge Belcher is just a 3/5 now. So he would be happy to spend it, like trade it with a minion from Kibler's side plus 2 mana on a turn where 2 mana will only leave you with 4, which is pretty bad. You generally want 5 mana left to play your better cards.
I would love to see the Echoing Ooze and Defender of Argus. That's probably the best synergy that you can ask for this card. Late game, its power has dropped significantly compared to the face of legendaries, so squeezing out now is more important.
What else do you taunt though? Do you taunt the 2/1 so that he can trade with the 3/3, or do you taunt the Shade so that he can kill the Cairn? Probably the way he did it is better.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I think it's all right.
And we finally see, the Shade coming off.
All right, well, double Armor Smith and another Sludge Belcher, so he can start gaining armor. Now, keep in mind, Hype does have ways to gain back health, so if he feels like he's within combo range, he can start being able to stack it. But this Shade is starting to get a little bit out of control.
It is, yeah, no execute for him, which would be the perfect answer here. He can't attack it. They're 2 taunt guys.
Okay, Kibler has Swipe. So can he go for an efficient removal sequence?
It depends on what he wants to do. Like, does he want to, the problem is that his opponent's going to gain so much armor up that swipe as well.
Yeah.
You could just swipe the 1/4, but This way he only gains 3 armor, but doesn't seem optimal.
No, and your alternative plays seem like you're just going to be crashing the gates, so and doing the same thing. Like you're not really removing that much. You're spending 4 damage actually on this armor smith, so maybe the opportunity to play Shades and Harvest Golem. But then how much are you extending it to Brawl? You have to keep this in the back of your mind too.
I don't think you can afford to play around Brawl here. It's another one of those spots where, if you don't lose to that card, you might just end up losing to everything else by trying to play around it. If he has Brawl, he has it, whatever.
Okay. Well, in that case, I still like playing Harvest Golem, because if he does have Brawl, at least you still have the ability to have a minion.
Yeah, definitely.
Aha.
Oh, and draws the execute. A little bit too late. A turn too late to be exact, man.
Alright, well, Hyped can deal with it. That next Shade, he has a weapon to start removing. You can kill off one of these minions, have a 4/5 on the board, and he can drop Armor Smith to fill it out.
Yeah, he can
be reasonable.
Yeah, I think, killing his opponent's 2 bigger minions this turn and dropping Armor Smith and, maybe killing another minion with the weapon is probably good. Just kill everything except for the Harvest Golem and be left with, the weapon that will be able to clear out the Golem from Harvest Golem next turn, and an Armor Smith, and a 4/5 and some armor.
Yeah, and also he's got like Alex Straza, so there's a lot of opportunity for him to like flip the switch, where if the warrior deck is not under a lot of pressure and it just seems like there's no way for him to die in the next couple turns, you just go ahead and Alex Straza your opponent, and then you have like the weapon to activate Gromage if you draw into him in the next 2 draws. So there's a lot of room here for Hype to play with based off the information that Kibler comes. So I think this is a paramount turn for Kibler. If it wasn't already the past couple of opportunities, I feel like now is the time for him to start recognizing what he can do with some of these legendary cards.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like he can do a lot. You know what were his possible plays here? The best might
off Armor Smith. I hate Armor Smith so much when I'm playing aggro decks. Just like if you play Druid the Claw defensively, he can he still hasn't played a lot of removals, so you're asking him to get like a really efficient way to do something like Death Spite plus a trade in. I don't know.
Yeah, though it does force the Death Spite, so that he cannot kill the Harvest Golem tokens. I think I prefer that over killing the Armor Smith, because that would expose the Druid to the weapon that's already in play. Perhaps just gonna play, he draws a card he cannot cast.
Sarah.
2 shield blocks in the hopes of finding something. Another card he cannot cast. Okay, so
sacrifice your Armor Smith here. I think so.
Yeah, probably. It's gonna be a 1/3 anyway. Yeah, you have to. Because if you don't do it, you just give your opponent the opportunity to attack it himself, or to attack something else if he so chooses. So it might as well just take the opportunity away from him. When you can make a decision, or let your opponent make the same decision, just make it yourself. Even if it's not good for you, just make it yourself.
Alright, Hype's starting to play cleanup. He's going to be at 31 health, way outside of combo range. Kibler seems to be drawing not the cards he needs. I feel like Ancient of Lore is even better than Defender of Argus, even though Argus is something.
Yeah, Argus is not super good here, but it's way better than a Spider or a News. Yeah, we can see that Hype just didn't attack his opponent for 4 last turn, because A, he has Alex Straza anyway, so he was probably going to drop to 15, and B, his hand is so stacked with good late game cards that it doesn't matter how much his opponent is going to be at, it only matters that he doesn't die. He's going to, with those cards in his hand, he can kill Kibler whether he's at 25, 30, or even like 60 life. So doesn't really care about hitting for 4.
Alright, Kibler's pretty much all in on whatever's here. And Hyped is sitting pretty nicely. He's got ways to just kill off whatever's on the board, whether Ragnaros, Gromosh, and armor up. He is in danger of dying to combo though if everything just goes off, so he has to be mindful of this.
I wonder.
Yeah, he's got to be worried about it, and Kibler does have half of the combo, so.
So with Shades in right there, that's 3. Oh, well, never mind. I was going to calculate based off killing it. If he's going to play Ysera, he just leaves it up. But if Shades is 3 and you kill off a minion, that's 8 damage plus the 8 from Savage Roar. That's 16. And then if you armor up, you're going to be at 29. So no matter what, I think Hyped actually dies to combo here. Which is kind of crazy to think about.
Even if Gromosh is a guy, so let's see. 8 plus 14 plus 6, so that's 28. I don't think it dies.
Oh, 28. You're right.
Yeah. If he plays Gromosh.
He has to Gromosh and armor up then.
Yeah.
Okay. Miscalculation.
But then
something that Hype's doing too. He's just like counting everything. Oh, he's gonna leave it up to chance. Now we saw Savage Roar or Force Nature top deck in the past, and Brian Kibler is gonna really hope he gets the last piece of the combo to end this series. And it's kind of likely with a deck like this. Ooh.
That was close.
Scary moment.
So that's still fine for him. You know, he just plays one of those now to hit for 6 damage. So he deals 18 damage this turn. I think it's gotta be worth it. Better than killing Ysera. I don't think you care about Ysera. You have to hope it was not one of the board clears.
I wonder why Hyped went for Ysera 2 over something like Alex. I guess it's because the high health count. So that way, and you're playing around the chance that he has big game hunter. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's why he didn't play Gromosh and Ragnaros, because those would have been vulnerable to BGH.
Yeah, maybe he also thinks, you know, okay, if I play Gromosh and hit a guy in armor up, I survive, but I stay at 1 life. And can I truly win the game? And I would lean towards yes because of Alexstrasza in his game, but maybe the answer is just no. In which case, it makes no sense to play around the combo if you're going to lose to it anyway. Yeah, I like Kibler's play here. I like attacking with everybody. You know, and then even if your opponent drew the 5 damage card that clears the board, you could still win next turn.
Faceless Manipulator. Well, Hyped, how does he survive this now? He has to... He's like in a really tough spot at the moment.
Well, I think he has to play Alexstrasza here. Like, you know, attack a minion and play Alexstrasza. But does it die anyway?
His opponent will have 8 plus the 4 from
15.
Shield Power. Yeah.
He will die
he has
anyway.
to, I guess, Faceless and then Nightmare taunt. That might be a way to stay alive too.
Nightmare is the +5/+5 thing and dies at the beginning of next turn?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean...
That stalls, I think so.
It does, yeah. Wow, that would be a pretty interesting play.
Oh, he's going to go for a BGH play too. This is cool. This is a little clever move. I like it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, great play from him.
That is sick. Now he still dies, I think, to a Savage Roar top deck.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, still tense moment. Can Kibler pull this through? He's been trying to press. No, it's an Echoing Ooze.
Yep.
Oh, gosh.
Pretty close. But he could put his opponent to 3.
What to do?
Right to 5, because there's... Yeah, wow, it's not looking... Suddenly it's not looking good for Kibler anymore. I mean, his
Very
play here has
impressive
got
play
to be...
from Hyped here, and
yeah.
Now it's still like the case where you have to be mindful of your opponent to being able to kill you, though.
Kibler has to just pass the turn here, right? Because he can just attack into a minion that's gonna die anyway.
Well, you play Echoing Ooze and Hero Power, right?
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, there's no point in attacking or playing Force of Nature.
No, absolutely not. Okay, and then... Oh, it's a little tricky because Hyped... Let's see, how does he go for a clear? I don't think he can. Alex Strauss on yourself definitely might be your best option, though.
Yeah, I mean, you still lie to...
I wonder.
Yeah, you still lose to the combo if you do that, but... You know, what choice do you have? At least you don't lose to one piece of the combo.
That's true.
And you don't lose to, like, one piece of a swipe either.
I cannot do that.
Alright, Gromosh allows him to kill off 3 minions, put out this 10 attack creature, and maybe set up for lethal next turn. Because what you can do is you can make Gromosh and then Alex draws in next turn. So Hyped is going to go for a 2-turn kill here. He's going to clear as
Yeah,
many
he
as
does have
he
the
can.
Nightmare.
Huh?
He does have the Nightmare for next turn.
Yes. So if
Even if
Gromosh
he,
survives,
you know,
he's in a
like-
position to win.
Yeah, he does put himself dead to... I think Kibler has 1 swipe left in his deck, right?
Yeah, but that's only 10 damage plus the 1 damage
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
it
Echoing
doesn't-
Ooze.
okay,
He still
never
needs
mind.
Savage Roar to end this game.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. He needs Savage Roar. I'm just miscounted.
Oh no! oh man, Hype's getting up because he realizes like at this point, like, oh man, I'm basically at the mercy of what my opponent can do. And Brian Kibler gets a big giant cloud of smoke for his draw on this turn, and that is really unfortunate.
Yep, and there's nothing he can do here. You know, he doesn't know that he's dead because he doesn't know his opponent has Alexstrasza, so... But yeah, he really is. He could,
Wow.
could Force of Nature to kill the Gromosh, but then he can never win the game, so he
Right.
can't do it. He has to just hope his opponent doesn't have Alexstrasza.
Let's see. He needs to kill the BGH, I believe, too, because that's over the damage threshold. The armor. So he does end up killing it, but he ended up using his own. All right, so Hyped is going to take this series. And it was pretty intense, but overall a really fun series of games that we saw. And Brian Kibler, unfortunately, drops out 0-3, but I think his series were really fun to watch. So better luck next time, Brian, and hopefully we can see you come back for more Hearthstone tournaments.
Yep. Good run. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but yeah.
Wow, pretty intense games, and Hyped now enters the series versus Savitz basically tied. If you win 3-2, you advance because you have the head-to-head advantage, and you have a winning record. So now it just comes down to who wins this best of 5. Doesn't really matter about game score anymore. And Savitz,
I like it.
Yeah, he started off 1-0, but you know, at the same time, he also had a little bit of help from Brian and Iria. The big question is asked, is Hyped going to miss an opportunity to survive and just die to a 1 damage token or hero power? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, so guys, the last series of the day is going to come after a break, but real quick, we want to talk to you about what VGVN is doing. They're giving you a chance to win the Zeus Mini PC that's going to be given to 1 lucky winner, I believe, or you can find out all the information at the link too. So that way you can find out if you're eligible. I believe it's to the U.S. citizens, so that way they can find out more information about your residency and eligibility requirements. Type giveaway in the chat so that way you can figure out how to sign up for this newsletter. It only takes a little bit of time, and you can find out more about what VGVN stands for, as they are the sponsor for this tournament series. So make sure you let them know how much you appreciate that they're supporting the Hearthstone team. We're going to take a few minutes. When we come back, the final match of Group B to determine who is going to move on between Savitz versus Hyped. Stay tuned.